Today we're going to cover the section 1.4, measure and classify angles. So our objectives, we have named and measured line segments. Now we will name and measure and classify angles. So, an angle is two rays that share a common endpoint, provided the two rays do not lie on the same line. So this is a picture of an angle here. Here's my two rays, AB and AC. They share the endpoint A. The common endpoint of the two rays that make an angle is the vertex of the angle. Okay? So in this picture, it's A. A is the vertex. The two rays are called the sides of the angle. This is a side and that's a side. And you name an angle by using three letters with the vertex letter in the middle. This is very important. I can name this angle BAC, or I can name it angle CAB. Right? I cannot name it angle ABC. That is not this angle. Angle ABC would be the angle at B. Angle ACB would be the angle at C. So you have to have this. This is the vertex. That letter has to be in the middle. Right? The other letters don't matter what order they are, whether they're first or last. But the vertex has to be in the middle. Naming angles. Get that straight now because it'll cause you trouble the rest of the class if you don't know how to name angles correctly. Another thing, I can also name this angle A if there are no other possible angles at A. So if I had a third line, a third ray, let's say I had a ray here. Now I can't name this angle A. Which A am I talking about? Am I talking about this angle? Am I talking about this angle? Or am I talking about this angle? This angle. Three possible angles. By adding one ray, I now have three possible angles at A. So, only name it angle A if it just has two rays coming from it, or two lines or whatever going through it. Is that clear? All right. Name the three angles in the diagram. Give me one name for these angles. This angle. These angles. Yes?
WXY.
Angle W. Angle WXY. Okay, give me another one. Yes, Max?
Angle WXZ.
Angle WXZ. Okay, Max? And then Mitchell?
Angle YXZ.
Angle YXZ. Yes, we got them all. YXZ. So WXY was this angle, WXZ was the big angle, and YXZ was the smaller angle. Very good. Yes?
Is there any chance that you could do ZXW since it can go all the way around?
Well, no, we don't. That's called. You're talking about going this way?
Yeah.
That's a reflex angle. We're not doing reflex angles. The angles have to be 180 or less that we're going to use. And ZXY wouldn't be the reflex angle. It would be this angle. It's just another name. WXZ and ZXY are the same thing. It'd be the big angle. All right. Should not name any of these angles angle X because all three angles have X as their vertex. All right. Now, the unit of measurement we use to measure an angle. Anybody know it? What is it? Degree. And what tool do I use to measure angles? Protractor. All right, now, with the protractor, let's see what the ones that you have look like. All right. So a little bit different. You've got, on yours, you've got some extra space down below this line. So yours you have, it kind of goes down like this. And then you have a hole right here where the angle goes. Okay. So the main thing when you measure with a protractor is you use the right scale. Okay. By that, what I mean is, let's put some letters to this. Let's say, okay, we're doing this angle. Let's call this A. We'll call this B. We'll call this X. We call this C. All right. So if we are doing A, B. Okay, let me get the letters right. A, B, C. So they did it. Let me label it. I need to relabel it. C. And then we'll call this D. All right. So A, B, C. I have to. The trick is using the right scale. Okay. A is here, so that means this is 0. So if I look for 0, 0 on this is the inside scale, right? So I follow the 0, I go up, and then it takes me to 105, right? If I used the outer scale, then I would have said this was 75. I would have said this is 75. All right? It's not 75. It's 105. Now, if we do angle DBC, angle DBC, then we're going to, the 0 is here, so we use the outer scale. It's 75. So make sure you're using the right scale when you measure with your protractor. This is the same way. The inside scale is the small, starts on the right, the outside scale starts on the left. All right, everybody got it? Good. Okay. Classify angles. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. 90 degrees, remember, is a right angle. Anything less than that, so like this angle right here, that's an acute angle. A right angle is 90 degrees. Greater than 90 is an obtuse angle. Okay? Obtuse angle would be this angle. That angle is obtuse. It's greater than 90. All right? A straight angle is 180 degrees. All right. Any questions there? Okay? I'm not sure what that was. Okay. Use the diagram to find the measure of the indicated angle, then classify the angle. Okay, so go ahead and let's do a couple together. KHJ. How many degrees is KHJ in this protractor?
55 degrees.
Right, we use the inside scale because it starts there. So yes, KHJ is 55. J is at 0. And we got KH. K goes out to 55. Okay, so that's 55. GHK. How many degrees is GHK? Somebody else? Yes?
125.
Yes, it's 125. G starts here. We go around to here. 125. All right. Do the next two on your own. Do your next two on your own. All right, GHJ, how many degrees is it?
180.
Yeah, it's a straight line. It's 180. GHL, how many degrees is it? 90. All right. Angle addition postulate, just like the segment addition postulate. If P is the interior of the angle, so P is in the interior of this angle, then the measure of RST, the whole angle, is equal to the sum of the measures of RSP and PST, these two angles. Right? So the symbol, so the two smaller angles add up to the larger angle. Symbols, we could write that as the measure of RST is equal to the measure of RSP plus the measure of PST. Angle addition postulate. All right. So given that LKN is 145, find LKM and MKN. You have to be able to do these kind of problems. There's a lot of these on the quiz and tests. All right? So it's an algebra problem. How would I set up my equation? Giving that last angle addition postulate, how would I set up my equation to find, we need to find x, I'll tell you that much. How would we find x? Go ahead.
2x plus 10 equals 4x minus 3.
Do we know those angles are the same measure? No. So we can't use that. What?
Would it be 2x plus 10 plus 4x minus 3 equals 145?
Right. We know the total. It's 145. We've got the parts. They both have x in them. I add these two together and set them equal to 145. So you would say we do 2x plus 10 plus 4x minus 3 equals 145. Right? So that's going to be 6x plus 7 equals 145. And so 6x equals 138. Right? So that means x equals 23. How would I find LKM now? How would I find LKM? What would I do? We're not done. Go ahead.
You have to plug in x.
Yeah. 2x, we plug in 23 for x. So it would be 2 times 23 plus 10 equals, that's 46, 56. So LKM equals 56 degrees. Don't forget to put degrees by your answer. We're finding an angle. So you have to label with degrees. MKN, we've got 4x minus 3, so it's 4 times 23 minus 3, so that's that's 80 and 12. 92 minus 3 is 89. 89 degrees is the other angle. Okay. Any questions? No questions. All right. Alright, so this is all the work we just did. Okay, here we go. Measure and classify angles. Two angles are congruent if they have the same measure. Alright, so to show that angles are equal, we write measure. We put the m. The little m stands for measure. These are numbers. The measure of A equals the measure of B. 30 degrees equals 30 degrees. Okay? Then to write the angles are congruent, we use the equal sign with the squiggly over it. You don't put m in front of it. It's just angle A is congruent to angle B. That means this picture and this picture are the same. This angle itself, the shape itself is the same shape as this one. It's not a number. It's saying if I put this on top of that, they're the same. They're congruent. There's a subtle difference there. Definition. A is a ray that divides an angle into two angles that are congruent. Okay. When we cut something in half, what do we call that? I think we've talked about what? Bisect. So it would be an angle bisector. Angle bisector is a ray that divides an angle into two angles that are congruent. Any questions? Okay. So this photograph shows some of the angles formed by ropes in a trapeze apparatus. Identify the congruent angles. Okay, well, they're marked with the arcs, same number of arcs. So we've got DEF and LKJ. Those two are congruent because they both have one arc. These have two arcs in them, right? So they're congruent. That's how we identify the congruent angles. Probably kind of hard to see in your picture, isn't it? Yeah. All right. All right, now, if DEG, that's this angle, DEG, if it equals 157, DEG equals 157, what is GKL?
157.
Yeah, because those are congruent, it's 157. All right? It's just emphasizing the idea of congruent, have the same measure. Okay, in the diagram, at the right, YW bisects XYZ, and XYW equals 18. Let's mark that. This is 18. Okay, find XYZ. Okay, so if YW bisects that angle, what do we know about XYW and ZYW? What do we know? If that ray bisects that angle. Yes? They're congruent, so their measure is equal, right? So this is 18. So what's the overall angle going to be? XYZ.
36 degrees.
Yes. 2 times 18 equals 36 degrees. Is that equals to the measure of angle XYZ. Make sense? Any questions? Okay. All right. Now, there's one other problem I want to do on this that, as an example, that they didn't talk about. Okay, and that is we sort of did one like this. Let's say we've got this angle here, right? And we have these two angles congruent, right? And we'll say this is x plus 5. And we'll say this is 2x minus 2, right? And they want to know the measure of, let's call this ABC. We'll call that D. They want to know measure of angle ABC. I better use bigger numbers. Let's say that's x plus 50, and this is 2x minus 12. 2x minus 12. Okay, how would I do it, Max?
You set them equal to each other?
Right. If it's a bisect, then now in this case, you do set them equal to each other. If you know the total of the angle, you add them, but we just know that they're equal to each other because that's a bisector. So I would take x plus 50, and I would set it equal to 2x minus 12, solve for x, so that would be negative x, well, negative 1x equals negative 62, so x equals 62, right? And then I would, once I solve for x equals 62, then I plug it in to x plus 50 plus 2x minus 12, so that's going to be 62 plus 50 plus 2 times 62. This is going to end up being more than 180. The numbers don't add up right, but anyways, you would plug it in and you get your total. Make sense? All right. Okay, so we have 25 minutes. What I would like to try to do, your homework assignment's posted in Canvas. It's a worksheet 1.4.